Well, welcome everybody. Yes, I do want to say that we were going to be recording this event and we'll be sending it around to everybody who has registered. So if you missed something or you want to go back and listen to a piece of it, you'll have the opportunity to on the recording. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Simi Ram Reimer. I'm the Associate Director of the Interfaith Council of Metropolitan Washington. I want to take just a few minutes to share with you a little bit about the Interfaith Council, or IFC. Since 1978, the IFC has been a pioneer in interfaith dialogue and social justice, creating spaces where understanding, respect, and collaboration can thrive. We are a regional organization made up of 11 different historic faith traditions, including the Abrahamic and Dharmic traditions. Our mission is to create spaces, opportunities, and resources for interfaith engagement in order to advance interfaith cooperation so that religious pluralism will thrive. We do this through a variety of public programs, such as group discussions and unity walks, through interfaith partnerships with congregations, organizations, and local governments, and through local and regional initiatives, such as our religious and cultural literacy workshops. Today's discussion is entitled Navigating Uncertainty with Grace, a conversation with Buddhist monk Sagarananda and Dr. Sousan Abadian. And before we jump in, I would like to introduce our wonderful speakers. So Dr. Sousan Abadian, IFC's Executive Director, earned a PhD in Political Economy and Government from Harvard, an MA in the Anthropology of Social Change and Development, also from Harvard, as well as an MPA in International Development from Harvard's Kennedy School. In 2022, she was a Fulbright Scholar in the Specialist Program in Canada, consulting with First Nations on curriculum, Indigenous Perspectives in a Changing World. Her earlier research on generative cultural renewal and addressing the effects of long-standing collective trauma and cultural damage in Indigenous communities was described by Nobel laureate in economics Amartya Sen as pioneering and highly original. She now teaches, speaks, and consults internationally on leadership, personal and cultural renewal, healing intergenerational collective trauma, and integrating Indigenous knowledge and wisdom. She built on her earlier work at Cambridge Leadership Associates, facilitating workshops and speaking on adaptive leadership. Between June 2017 and June 2019, Dr. Abadian served as a Franklin Fellow at the U.S. State Department's Office of International Religious Freedom, Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor. Her portfolio included preventing violent extremism, rights of religious minorities in the Middle East and South Asia, gender-based violence, and cultural restoration following atrocities. She has also served as a fellow at MIT's Dalai Lama Center for Ethics and Transformative Values, as well as at Harvard's Center for Public Leadership. She is the author of Generative Cultural Renewal, an effective resource in ending female genital mutilation, cutting, and other harmful practices, which offers ethical and culturally sensitive means of evolving traditional cultural practices. Joining her is the Venerable Sagarananda. Before joining the Buddhist monastic order in 2010, Bhikkhu Sagarananda Tien worked as a research assistant professor at Rutgers University and as a licensed environmental engineer at an international consulting firm. His academic journey was supported by the NASA Earth System Science Fellowship, which funded his doctoral research in computer modeling and remote sensing. His professional and academic background reflects a long-standing commitment to science, environmental stewardship, and the pursuit of knowledge. Born in Taipei, Taiwan, into a Christian family, Bhikkhu Sagarananda Tien's early life was shaped by both spiritual and academic influences. In 2010, after years of spiritual seeking, he was ordained as a novice monk and received full ordination in the Theravada tradition in 2012. While his ordination was rooted in Theravada Buddhism, he embraces a non-sectarian approach to the Buddha Dharma, drawing from diverse traditions and teachings to cultivate an inclusive and practical path for living in modern society. Bhikkhu Sagarananda Tien currently serves in several roles that bridge contemplative practice, community engagement, and interfaith cooperation. He is the director of Amata Meditation Center in Boyd, Maryland, Secretary of the U.S. Zen Institute in Germantown, Maryland, and Vice President of the Association of Sino-Jiayin in Taiwan. In addition to his organizational responsibilities, he serves as a member of the Faith Community Advisory Council in Montgomery County, Maryland, and volunteers as a chaplain within the MedStar Health System, offering spiritual support to individuals from all walks of life. His work reflects a commitment to integrating inner transformation with compassionate action in the world while fostering dialogue across cultures and traditions. Other than his devotion to learning and practicing meditation and propagating the Buddhist teachings, he is interested in interfaith dialogue, nonprofit organization development, photography, Chinese calligraphy, art, mechanical watches, pottery, architecture, and travel. Our first speaker, just to give you a little bit of a format for the way that this discussion will go, our first speaker, Dr. Sousan Abadian, will speak for about 15 minutes, followed by Venerable Sagarananda, who will speak about Buddhist principles, and then we'll also offer some Buddhist practices to help us navigate uncertainty with grace. We will finish our time together with an opportunity for questions from the audience. If you feel like there are questions that come up for you during the discussion, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we will be monitoring those questions and we'll bring them up during the Q&A portion. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Dr. Abadian.
Greetings, friends. Thanks so much. I'm Sousan, as most of you know, and it's such a joy to be with you today. And thank you for taking time in the middle of your busy lives to be here. Before Venerable Sagarananda shares with us some of his wisdom and guides us into practices that cultivate calm and balance, I want to offer a frame that comes from my experience with training people in the exercise of leadership. And I hope to begin to answer questions such as why uncertainty feels so hard right now and what happens to us individually and collectively when uncertainties intensify, which will be a good lead-in to Venerable Sagarananda's discussion on how we can learn to meet this moment with greater clarity, steadiness, and grace. So I don't have to tell you that we're living through a time when so much is shifting at once. Even if our day-to-day routines seem unchanged, we can all feel the deeper currents: economic strain, political anxiety in DC, polarization, global changes that seem to reach into our living rooms. A lot of us wake up in the morning with a quiet sense of, God, what's coming next? And that is not a personal weakness. It's a very human response to uncertainty. Here's the truth. It's not change itself that destabilizes us. It's the uncertainty that comes with it. When we don't know what's ahead, when we can't predict outcomes, when we don't feel in control, the stress response in our nervous system turns on. The amygdala fires, our vigilance rises. We become reactive rather than responsive. And over time, that can take a toll emotionally, physically, and even spiritually. And here's something we don't talk about enough. Uncertainty is not the enemy. It's the relationship we have with uncertainty that determines whether we grow or collapse under its weight. Right now, most of us meet uncertainty with fear or overwhelm. But uncertainty can also be, I consider it, a cauldron of creativity, a space where new possibilities, new wisdoms can emerge if we learn how to work skillfully with it. That inner shift, changing our relationship to uncertainty, is the key to navigating the world we inhabit. Most of us know a lot more about what uncertainty does to individuals. But what happens when whole communities experience too much uncertainty, too fast? This is where the social psychology is sobering. Across cultures, across history, when uncertainty rises, communities tend to move towards rigidity, simplistic answers, charismatic saviors, scapegoating, nostalgia for an imagined past, and a longing for someone, anyone, to make the discomfort go away. And this isn't about liberals or conservatives or any one nation or moment. This is simply how human nervous systems behave under collective stress. And this is why exercising leadership matters, especially leadership that's calm, grounded, ethical, discerning, and capable of helping communities stay in the complexity without reaching for easy but dangerous answers. So I want to offer a framework that has shaped some of my own work for the last 25, 30 years. It's aging me, but that's exactly the truth. It's called adaptive leadership, and it's developed by Ron Heifetz, and it's taught at Harvard's Kennedy School. So according to this framework, leadership is not about titles. It's about how we mobilize people to face reality, learn, grow, and adapt when the answers are not obvious. Now I'm going to be compressing material we offer over hours and days and weeks into just a few short minutes. So please understand that I'll be, simplifying a lot of material and hope it illuminates rather than confuses. And during the Q&A, and again, feel free to put in the chat box. Let me know if you have any questions. But here goes. Elizabeth, if you can put the slides on, thank you. There are two ideas or two distinctions from adaptive leadership that I want to focus on. The first is that leadership is not the same as authority. The next slide, please. A person can have a title and a senior role and may exercise no leadership at all. They may, in fact, mislead. And a person with no title or formal authority can exercise profound leadership from exactly where they stand. So according to this framework, leadership is an activity. It's a verb, not a position. It's the activity of helping people face their toughest challenges, what we term adaptive work or challenges, and grow through them. The next slide, please. The second idea is to distinguish between technical problems and adaptive problems, adaptive challenges or work. Next slide, please. If you look at the first white row, the first top row, first white row, a technical problem is one where the problem is clear and the solution is known, and there's a clear expert who likely has a solution to the problem. So your car breaks down, you go to a mechanic, problem solved. That's a technical problem. But if you look at the bottom white row, adaptive challenges are different. They typically touch identity, values, habits, loyalties. They require learning, experimentation, and discomfort on the part of stakeholders. There's no quick fix or known solution, and everyone involved must participate in the work of figuring things out. So most problems we face often are a mix of technical and adaptive. But much of what we are experiencing right now, politically, socially, spiritually, is adaptive. There's no expert or authority figure who can fix it for us. It requires collective wrestling with the problem and changes in each of us. Next slide, please. One of the biggest mistakes we make is treating an adaptive challenge like a technical one, going to those in authority to fix the problem for us, or throwing quick fixes at something that requires deeper work, and then wondering why nothing changes. But real change is adaptive, in adaptive challenges can't be handed over. It has to come from within each of us. So adaptive work asks everyone involved to reflect, shift their mindset, and take responsibility for being part of the solution. So let me give you a concrete example on an individual level that many of us can relate to from our families or communities. Let's say someone has a heart attack. The doctor can address the acute crisis. They can insert a stent, prescribe medication, stabilize the heart. That's the technical work. It is essential, but it's only part of the solution. The other part of healing requires adaptive work. The person may need to change how they eat, how they move, how they handle stress, how they structure their daily lives. No doctor can do these changes for them. They cannot outsource the harder inner work of shifting long-held habits, coping mechanisms, and even identity patterns. And as many of you know, this is often where the resistance shows up. People avoid the discomfort of changing diet or dealing with stress differently or taking on the emotional work that their heart condition is asking of them. So doing adaptive work is uncomfortable because it asks us to take responsibility and make changes. It asks us to let go of old assumptions, rethink how rethink how we've always done things, and stretch emotionally and accept uncertainty. And so very understandably, people often avoid it. And this is what we call in the adaptive leadership world, work avoidance. It's really adaptive work avoidance. And the same pattern appears at the community level. For example, when trust frays or polarization rises, leaders can often hold meetings, issue statements, but the real healing requires adaptive work, people learning new ways of listening, engaging across difference, letting go of rigid narratives, and rebuilding relationships. No technical fix can do that for them. And by the way, this is the kind of work we at the IFC, along with many faith and civic partners, try to do every day. We create spaces for honest encounter, deep listening, relationship building across lines of faith, race, experience. It's the courageous work, often slow, often undervalued, and frequently avoided because it requires people to stretch beyond old habits and familiar identities. Now, instead of doing the deeper adaptive work, listening, learning, facing reality, we often look for quick fixes, someone with authority to rescue us, or create distractions that help us to avoid the discomfort of real change. Next slide, please. So again, in the adaptive leadership language, we call this work avoidance, and it shows up in familiar ways. Anything that distracts the population and deflects responsibility. For example, the insistence that those in authority must give us the answers they have to pretend they have in order to maintain the authority. Next slide, please. Oh, actually, I'm so sorry. Go back to the last slide. Here's some examples, again, of work avoidance. Scapegoating is a typical thing, blaming others or externalizing the enemy, getting stuck in a victim stance, attacking those in authority, neutralizing the messengers, the truth tellers, and those trying to get us to face the adaptive challenges by marginalizing or devaluing them. Okay, now you can go to the next slide. And you know that work avoidance is happening when addictions of various sorts become widespread, again, in form of distraction and substance abuse, media, shopping, sex, any kind of addiction that distracts us from having to face the adaptive challenges. Or we might collectively engage in dramas or sterile conflicts and proxy fighting that keep us entertained but distracted. Or when people are caught in idealizing the past and a kind of obsessing holding on to that past. And there are a lot of fake remedies of various sorts that demand simple answers to very complex problems. Or we may retreat into certainty rather than curiosity. So these are examples of work avoidance. Okay, so the last slide, if you can go to the next slide, it's the last slide. So I'm going to offer this one last slide. It's a simple visual that helps capture these principles. So imagine this graphic with two axes. One is this disequilibrium on the vertical axis, which is a measure of stress and time on the horizontal. It illustrates how different types of challenges, technical problems and adaptive challenges, affect individuals and communities in terms of level of disequilibrium over time. So just look at the orange line for now. When we face a technical problem, disequilibrium rises at first. Yes, there's stress, disruption, confusion, but because technical problems have known solutions, we can go to someone with expertise and the stress gradually decreases. So if you break your foot, the pain goes up and you might be, over the top stressed, but when you see a doctor or surgeon, they can set the bone, create a plan, and over time restore stability. For the system being you, your family, the disequilibrium diminishes and eventually returns to normal, goes down. Now, adaptive challenges are very different. When a challenge touches our values, identities, habits, loyalties, or worldviews, the disequilibrium is high and stays elevated. So both adaptive and technical problems have the same footprint at first, but because there is no expert who can fix it for us in adaptive challenges, that's the blue line. If you look at the blue line, the disequilibrium stays elevated. And if the disequilibrium were to exceed the community's what we call the limit of tolerance, and that's the top dotted line, or if people are being misled, they will tend to seek relief through work avoidance, represented by the green line. Again, work avoidance is when we reach for false certainties, charismatic authorities, simplistic solutions, or distractions, anything that lowers anxiety without actually addressing the root challenge. Facing the uncertainty of adaptive challenges, these work avoidance patterns feel comforting, but they keep us stuck exactly where we are. So the disequilibrium will diminish at first, but because these are false solutions, the tensions will inevitably rise again, as we can see with the ends of the green line, and they rise exponentially. The problem resurfaces often with more intensity because the underlying adaptive work has been postponed. Now, the adaptive leadership work is the practice of helping people stay within what we're calling the productive range of distress. We want it high enough to motivate learning, because if it's not, if we don't have any stress at all, people just don't feel motivated to change or learn. But we don't want it so high that people shut down, polarize, or scapegoat, or take part in work avoidances. So leadership is about learning how to modulate heat collectively so people can stay engaged long enough to grow and adapt through that rather than flee into avoidance. And you can see why I'm working to create an interfaith leadership program for lay and religious leaders in the DMV across different faiths to come together, learn a shared framework and language, and develop the tools to help modulate the heat in our communities so that people stay within the productive range of distress long enough to do the real adaptive work rather than slipping into work avoidance. Anyway, my hope is to offer resources to train and support leaders across the DMV so they can continue to help their communities face uncertainty with courage, clarity, and compassion. So, this is the subtle, courageous work required of us in times of uncertainty. And this is where inner leadership becomes essential. And here's what many of us know: you can't help a community face uncertainty if you yourself are overwhelmed by it. Inner work is not self-indulgent, it's foundational. Research now shows that most Americans live in what scientists call, quote, a moderate threat state. A body constantly bracing for impact, burning energy, scanning for danger. But contemplative practices like meditation, breath work, prayer, and mindful presence help us shift out of that threat mode and into what scientists call deep rest, a physiological state where the body repairs, the mind clears, and the nervous system regains balance. And this is where wisdom becomes accessible. This is where intuition wakes up. And this is where compassion flows more naturally. And this is where we regain the capacity to lead, not from fear, but from steadiness, which brings me to why I'm so grateful that Venerable Sagarananda is with us today. Buddhism offers profound tools for working skillfully with uncertainty, cultivating presence, releasing reactivity, and grounding ourselves in awareness and compassion. So I just want to leave you with this. Uncertainty is not something we simply need to grit our teeth through. It's something that that can grow us if we meet it with curiosity and courage, both inwardly and together. Now, faith communities are among the last trusted spaces in our society. If we do not learn how to navigate uncertainty with wisdom, patience, and clarity, then where will our communities learn it? And my hope is that today's conversation becomes the beginning of a deeper journey, one where we build the inner muscles and the collective skills needed to meet this moment with grace. Now, if there are no burning questions, I'll hand it over to Venerable Sagarananda. Simi, do you see anything in the chat box? Hopefully not.
Not yet.
Great, that's fine. If there are any questions in the Q&A later, I'm happy to answer anything from the Adaptive Leadership Program. But here we are we're so grateful to have Venerable Sagarananda with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sousan, for such a wonderful talk. I'm really, really inspired by that. I'm coming from the science and engineering background, and then the reason why the main drive that made me to enter the order to become a Buddhist monk is actually growing up. I never learned how to properly deal with my technical problem with adapted solutions. So I guess here I would like to share a few reflections on two essential aspects of Buddhist practice that might provide some insights into how we navigate uncertainty with grace, or I would say with love and compassion. So one of which of these two is sati. So nowadays it's a very popular word, sati often translated as mindfulness. And another aspect is samadhi, commonly translated as concentration. And these two qualities lie at the heart of Buddhist path to liberation. And understanding their relationship can deepen our meditation and transform our lives as we dealing with the uncertainty in the future. So let's talk about the meaning of mindfulness, or meaning of sati. In Buddhist tradition, sati means much more than just simply being aware. So according to the Polytext Society's dictionary, sati could be translated into memory, recognition, consciousness, intentness of mind, wakefulness of mind, mindfulness, alertness, lucidity of mind, self-possession, conscientious, and self-consciousness. In that sense, sati is the ability to remember, to stay with what is happening in the moment without distraction or forgetfulness. Forgetfulness is a clear, steady knowing. So the Buddha emphasized four foundation of mindfulness: mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the feelings, of the mind, of the mental objects. So through sati, we learn how to observe all phenomena, become intimate with our experience. We learn to see that everything that rises also passes away. Mindfulness reveals the impermanent and conditioned nature of our experience, which is the beginning of wisdom. So let me just briefly give you some idea of the meaning of sati, or a lot of time we translate it into concentration. While mindfulness is the quality of remembering, sati is the mind's ability to become collective, unified, and purified. Mind trained in sati becomes steady like a steady flow of stream, and peaceful and joyful, and also ultimately, in order to attain the final liberation, it has the samadhi also becomes to help us to develop this capacity for deeper insight. So samadhi arises naturally when our mental hindrances are weakened. So mental hindrances like our hatreds, our agitation, our thinking in the future and not content at the present, and our drowsiness, so on and so forth. So if we will be able to somehow learn a way to weaken this, the mental hindrances, or even temporarily suspend it through our practice, again, according to the PTS dictionary, samadhi means a concentration, a concentrated, self-collected, intent state of mind, and meditation, which concomitant with right living is a necessary condition to attain the higher wisdom and emancipation, or in Buddhist word, nibbana. In Buddhist texts, it's described as the mind that is one-pointed or settled. It is the profound for the deeper meditative absorptions known as the jhanas. But samadhi is not only the special meditative state. Even in daily life, when the mind is calm, centered, and not easily shaken, we are touching samadhi. So sorry about that. I've prepared some talk on these two aspects in Buddhist teaching, or I would say the center of the Buddhist teaching. But how the samadhi and sati actually work together? So these two qualities, samadhi and sati, are often taught separately, but in practice, they support each other. So, for example, mindfulness will lead to concentration. And when we keep returning to the present moment, the mind stops scattering, the mental hindrances start to fade away, and naturally become more unified. Our mind become more unified. So concentration also strengthens mindfulness. A calm, collective, and purified mind without mental hindrances can observe more clearly and deeply. So without stability, mindfulness becomes shallow and easily disturbed. So you see, in Buddhist texts, the Buddha compared the relationship to a pair of wings of a bird. So a bird, in order to fly, he has to develop both wings. One is samadhi, one is sati, mindfulness and concentration. So together, along also another very important aspect in Buddhist understanding of how to live a virtuous life and how to eventually purify our mind and thoughts and eventually attain Nibbana is along through this virtue. We call this another Pali word means sila. Sila usually means good behavior, good nature, good characters, and a moral practice, and Buddhist ethics and code of moralities, so on and so forth. So along with the sati and samadhi and eventually virtue, samadhi, and concentration will help us to attain, to prepare the mind for deeper understanding or what we call the wisdom to help us to alleviate our suffering to attain the final liberation, Nibbana. So that's basically the theoretical discourse of of these two aspects. But in terms of practice, how we'll be able to do that? So I'll just give you some of a little more about the theoretical framework about the meditative practice. But after that, I will give you some instruction to help us to cultivate the sati and samadhi step by step. So usually we begin with strengthening mindfulness on our body by scanning the different part of our bodies from head to toes. And then in today's case, I would like to introduce this meditation practice on loving kindness. So what we'll learn is how to cultivate the wholesome mental quality that each one of us possess through our language, and we have this language, and also by visualizing ourselves at first, and then gradually move on to the others. So when the mind wandering, we fall back to our language, our words, such as, may I be free from anxiety, may I be free from animosity, may I be free from enmity, or may I live happily. So this simple act trains us to weaken our mental hindrances and bring our awareness to the wholesome objects. In this case, is the mind of loving kindness. We will focus on this wholesome object, which is the mind of loving kindness, as our meditative object. So we'll train ourselves to strengthen this mind of loving kindness, and then eventually the mental hindrances will be faded away, and then we'll attain we'll experience the deeper concentration. So as mindfulness becomes continuous, the mind of loving kindness becomes steady, and our senses will become more peaceful and pure. So when the mind becomes calm and also steady and joyful, we might be able to observe deeper truth when the support conditions are given, such as the deeper truths. What are those? Such as the impermanence of each mind, feelings, perception, consciousness, or sometimes some people might have the chance to observe the non-self nature of this mental process, and also the rising and falling of all phenomena. So this is how meditation transforms from a technique to a path toward liberation. So this is a meditation practice, but how this the practice will benefit our life, how we bring sati and samadhi into our daily life. So these teachings are not only for the meditation cushion. So we can practice sati when walking and eating and speaking, when even communicating with other people. So wherever we bring mindful presence, we also invite calm and purity. So gradually, this presence becomes our nature state, and we gain deeper understanding of our mental processes. So with mindfulness and concentration, a person speaks with love, compassion, clarity, listens deeply, and responds rather than reacts. And it's not easy overwhelmed by negative emotion and circumstances. Together, mindfulness and concentration brings inner peace and purity, strengthen our love and compassion, therefore establish emotional resilience, cultivating clarity of our thoughts, and bring a sense of freedom in everyday life. So that's pretty much sums up what I want to share with you guys about some of the Buddhist teaching, particularly in sati, or the mindfulness, and samadhi, the concentration or the purification of the mind. So to summarize, sati is the clear, continuous present that knows what is happening, and samadhi is the unified, purified, and peaceful quality that arises from suspension of our mental hindrances. Together, they prepare the field of insight and awakening for every one of us. So that's basically sum up my theoretical discourses. And then if we may, we can spend some minutes to cultivate samadhi and sati together. So I will guide you through this. So thank you, Sousan and Sammy and Elizabeth to organize this event. So maybe we can find a comfortable and easy posture, and I will start to guide you through this. And if you have any question, and please feel free to leave in the chat box, and Sammy will help us or Elizabeth will help us later on. Okay. So just find a comfortable posture, and then let's do this. And you can close your eyes. So we don't need to be rushed into our meditation. So let's just be quiet for a few moments. And first, let's move our awareness to the very top of our head. So you can pick up, that's very little area on top of our head. Whatever you can feel, be that a tingly sensation, a warm or hard or cold, any kind of sensation you can feel, just make a mental note. You can just say, I know, I know, I know. Then move that awareness to our front head. Again, if you feel there's a tension, you know there's a tension. Just by knowing that is enough. Don't go any further. And move the awareness to our eyes, to our cheeks, the lips, to our necks, our shoulders, the arms, elbows, palms, fingers and thumbs. Whatever we can feel, you just pick it up and just know that, oh, I have this sensation. To the chest, to the stomach, to our butt, you can feel that the tangible sensation of our body touching the cushion of our seat. And to our thighs, our knees, our shanks, our feet, and all the way to our soul, the bottom of our feet. So you can quickly do that once again, from top to bottom, starting from the very top of our head, all the way down to our feet. So when you're at home, you can spend some more time doing so, but given the time constraint, let's move on to our meditation object of loving kindness. So first, how we cultivate loving kindness, we have to visualize ourselves as the beginning. Visualize ourselves sitting right in front of ourselves, face to face, in a very comfortable distance, as if you look into the mirror in the morning when you brush your teeth, or any kind of distance you feel comfortable. And at this moment, we have to utilize our language, our words, to bring up the mind of loving kindness, such as, may I be free from anxiety, may I be free from animosity, or may I be free from enmity, or may I live happily. And if English is not your native language, you can always go back to the language you the most familiar with. For me, it's the Mandarin Chinese. So just by using this, somehow we can regulate our mind to the wholesome object, mental object. So at the same time, we visualize ourselves sitting right in front of ourselves, face to face. And the word is not mantra. We just say it very sincere. May I be happy, may I be happy, may I be happy. And if our mind starts to wander away, use the language, use the words to bring our mind back. So let's spend a couple of minutes silently practicing this. So the mind of loving kindness is one of our wholesome mental qualities. When it's there, you might have a very soft and warm feelings. So let's move on to the next step of meditation of loving kindness. So now let's pick up one that is dearest to us, the most friendly person, or it could be a sentient being, or maybe your pet, a dog or a cat, a kitty, that's fine. But usually we will advise that to pick a person. So at this moment, think of one person that is dearest to you, the one you love the most in the world, and put this person in front of you and try to utilize the same language. May you be well and happy. May you be free from anxiety. May you be free from animosity. May you be free from enmity. And apply the same skill, but this time to a person that is dearest to you. So let's spend a couple of minutes practice this. So don't pay attention to other things, just pay attention to the mind. So if the mind is wandering away, apply the language to bring the mind back. So let's move on to the next person. So this time we would like to visualize a person, a neutral person, maybe a stranger or someone you know but not to know that really well, maybe your colleagues or distant relatives, who knows, or someone who just met on street. You bring this person right in front of you and apply the same language. May you be free from anxiety. May you be free from animosity. May you be free from enmity. Or simply, may you live happily. Just use that neutral person and try to bring up our loving kindness using that person as an object. And last but not least, now we want to challenge ourselves. But let's bring up a person that is the most hostile at this moment. A person that we don't like the most. Let's bring this person right in front of us and apply the same language to this person and see whether we can also bring up the mind of loving kindness. It's like our enemy, arch enemy. Something happened in the past that make us have this view on this person, that this person is my enemy. But bring this person right in front of us and apply the same language. May you be free from anxiety. May you be free from enmity. May you be free from animosity. Or may you be happy. So when you hear the bell, you can bring back to your physical body from the mind of loving kindness. And then you can check again from the very top of your head all the way down to your toe. Is there any tension in any part of your body? Remind yourself to relax, relax, relax before you open your eyes. Thank you, thank you. Thank you all for being part of this. And in Buddhist tradition, we always say that the core of our spiritual practice is all relay on our friends. The Kalamniya Metta, the Metta Sutta also say that the practice of loving kindness will eventually lead us to eliminate all the suffering attend Nibbana. And I wish this little practice will help you in your daily lives. So I think for at least for me, this is the one of the adapted solution that I found through meditation practice. So in the past, I was trying to, have a little bit different of a worldview, but thank you again. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organizer, Dr. Sousan, and Sammy, and their wonderful intern, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Sousan, please.
No, that was so important and recentering. Thank you so much, Venerable Sagarananda. Appreciate it. Well, Simi, do you want to open it up for questions and answers? We just have a few minutes.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. We just have a few minutes, but we invite you to either ask a question or type a question in the chat. So whatever, or just share something maybe that's on your mind after hearing these two wonderful speakers, each bringing their own perspectives and experience to the conversation today.
Yeah, I would like to share some of my thoughts. I think I briefly mentioned that right before at the beginning of my talk. I think what Sousan just presented is actually what I found is almost parallel with or aligned with the Buddhist meditative practice. Like we're trying to solve we all have to deal with our internal struggle. We all have to deal with our agitation, and anger, anxiety. But in the past, I think even myself, even through my own meditation practice, I think from time to time, I will still treat it as a technical problems. Instead, I really have to, through my practice, layer layer by layer to be able to take this as a adaptive or like a conversation with myself, step by step, instead of like what I just like the kind of a training that I had in the past. I treat it as a technical issue. So if you have any challenging facing a similar challenge, don't feel discouraged. Even being a monk, I'm still dealing with this on a daily basis. So this is all I want to share with you guys.
Thank you for that honesty. And it's so true, the more we know, we don't know, in some ways, but, and that it's an adaptive challenge, not a technical one. So there's layers of learning and development. So appreciate that language was useful for you.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you for honesty. I just want to say how meaningful for me, the loving kindness meditation has saved my life over the years. I mean, really, it's made such a profound, it's so simple but profound in its teachings, and how it softens and soothes over the years, training me to, not give in to my animosity, basically, and my anger and my resentments, not feeding that, but moving towards something else. And it makes a huge difference, has made a huge difference in my life. So I appreciate that's the thing that you offered, the teaching that you offered.
No, it's not my teaching. It's the
the teaching that you offered. No, I appreciate you're teaching it, but I
one of the
appreciate it.
practitioner myself. I'm also.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I
Hi,
just wanted to
Marcy.
say thank you so much for both laying the groundwork, Dr. Abadian, for what we were doing, and then Venerable Sagarananda for that practice. I feel so calm right now, and I really can't wait to try and implement this a little bit more in my life. And I think it was very special how even though this was virtual and we're not all gathered in the same room together, it felt like a very collective effort doing the practice. And even though it was also incredibly individualized, it felt collective. And that was just really special. So thank you very much.
You can see why we love having Elizabeth as an intern. She's both articulate and so beautiful as a human being. So thank you for those comments, Elizabeth. It's so true. I mean, what's amazing about meditation is how it feels like the impact is magnified when we do it as a group rather than individual. I mean, even though individually it's powerful too, of course, but somehow it feels even more potent when we do it as a group. I want to acknowledge that Nikki Carlisle is here from England. So she's come from all the way England to be here in this conversation. So we're an international group. This is not even national anymore, even regional. Yeah.
I feel so honored.
Thanks. Hi, Nikki. Well, anybody else want to say anything? Sorry, I interrupted you, Sagarananda.
Sorry, Suzanne. I think I have a friend who is from Nepal. Maybe Venerable Barbing would like to say something. Just
Fabulous.
a few words.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for giving me this time. So, I mean, yeah, it's already Venerable Sagarananda mentioned about the basic or like a sati and samadhi or mindfulness and concentration. But like when we go in a practical way, so it's very, yeah, it is true and it's good to hear. But when you go to the practice, it is not suddenly something that we can do the concentration. Oh, okay, I'm sitting and okay, let's concentrate. Okay, mind, now you have to concentrate. Okay, it is not happening in that way. That's why the practicing is very important. So like as Venerable Sagarananda mentioned, it's like we call it Sila Samadhi Panya, or like the discipline and the mindfulness or the meditation, and after that it's come the wisdom, knowing what is truth. So it's mostly the Buddhism give us to know about what is the root, and find the root and finishing from the root, like desire or hatred, or whatever we have, the unwholesome things. So in a meditation way, I mostly found like the concentrate on those, all are the one moment. Awareness, when I'm talking now, you are all are listening to me. It's a one moment. And after that moment, your mind's going somewhere else. So the meditation is about, for me, is the collecting that the second and the awareness. And we, after that, that's called, I love to call it a practice. So like one awareness, two awareness, and as much as we are practicing, we collect more awareness, and we can sit like first like a 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and 30 minutes, something like we cultivate it in that way. And in other part is I like to, because of the time problem, I like to shortly other part of meditation is about the being awareness, means we aware of everything, like as Venerable Sagarananda said, what's going on when we are disagree with someone, suddenly hatred is coming, aware of that, the hatred, or someone maybe jealousy is coming, maybe whatever pleasant thing was unpleasant things, be aware with that. And how we increase the wholesome thing and the decrease the unwholesome thing is aware with that. It is just like mixing the paint. When we put the dark paint and the white paint, if you put the too much white, and it's going to be a light painting. So something like we are trying to aware with that the wholesome and unwholesome, and knowing what is coming up before the reacting. So next time when we improve it a lot, and when the hatred is coming, before we saying something, we know, oh, now I don't like it. So just knowing that, be calm. And that's how I feel like we should. I usually use this technique to improve myself. So I think this the most basic fundamental teachings of the Buddhism, and I'm very happy to be here and to thanks all of for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for contributing. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Wow. Well, it's 1:05, and I could stay on longer. But if anyone needs to leave, please feel free to leave. And anyone wants to stay for a few more minutes, I'm happy to stay on. But please, thank you so much for being here. Simi, did you want to say anything before we end?
Yes, two
Formally
things.
end?
One, I would really love to take a photo of everybody or everyone on this call. We put it in our e-blast just to kind of let people know that we're doing these. And hopefully they look exciting. And so other people will want to join us for future ones. So let me do that quickly. Thank you, everybody, for turning your cameras on. So let me do that. Hold on one second. Great, thank you. And the other thing I wanted to mention is these are monthly conversations. Each month is going to be a different topic, a different perspective. And next week, or sorry, not next week, next month, the plan is that we're going to do cooking workshops. And so we're kind of getting into the holiday spirit, something a little light and fun. And so
Not that this wasn't fun.
no, but different kind of fun, less introspective. And so we don't have the date yet, but our plan is to have someone from the Jewish community, Christian community, and Indigenous to cook a dish or to talk to us about a dish. And possibly we'll also get to cook together from each of those traditions, a dish that is typically eaten in the month of December. So we hope we will join us for that. We will be sending out more information about that along with the save the date. So keep an eye out.
This is so cool. I absolutely like it. And I don't know, AI is such a great power that we can cook virtually nowadays.
Isn't that amazing?
Yep.
I know. Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Thank you everyone for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.